Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. I hope y'all have had a great week. I wanted to continue to extend the invitation to join my private Facebook group, The Intuitive Therapist. If you're an empathic and intuitive woman who really wants to have a sense of community, get some support, be available for the lives that I do, to talk about current themes and to be aware of the offers and the events that I have. So go ahead on Facebook if you feel called. Look up The Intuitive Therapist. You'll see a private group. Click join, and I'll receive it. So I was speaking with a therapist who I supervise. We were talking the other day about how best she could help her client who was struggling to get her life together and to get on a good track in her life. And as I was reading into the energy of her client, I felt so strongly that she didn't have a real sense of what she wanted out of life. Like she had no vision of what her empowered reality is or could be. And typically when I speak with people about what an empowered reality is, I think most people maybe don't really even know what that is. And I speak about designing your life in such a way that you feel like you can do, be, and have anything. That to me is what an empowered reality is. Now, to some of you, that may sound like a bunch of hooey, like I'm just talking about a bunch of pie in the sky imagination stuff that won't ever stick. And it's just all, you're just faking it and imagining it. And that's not what I mean. I honestly believe that when you decide what to believe about your life, that's exactly what you bring about. That's exactly what you get. So, that said, you can create the exact reality you want, if not something much better, because the universe typically has something much better in store for you than you realize. Then, you can't go beyond your own mind. It's like you can't outthink yourself. But when you decide that you can have it, you create it. And I've spent a ton of time studying and practicing manifestation, law of attraction, and I know that without a shadow of a doubt, when my vibe is high and when I get my energy behind believing in what's meant for me, and that's what's already mine, that it has already happened, that it has to come to me. Of course, on God's time. But it belongs to me. But I believe that it will come. Outside of daydreaming without believing it, have you ever sat down and written out what your ideal life would look like? Really, seriously, if it doesn't matter how crazy it is, nobody's going to judge it. No matter how far-fetched you think it is, I really want you to sit down. I want to encourage you to do this. Sit down, no matter how long it takes. In every aspect of your life, if you were living your ideal life, what would that look like exactly and specifically? So, truth is, each of us has visions about what that is for ourselves. And you may call that daydreaming or wishful thinking, or that it's unattainable because it doesn't match your current circumstances. But each of us has that vision. And I have to tell you, those visions are not bullshit. God doesn't give you these kinds of images because you're being taunted or teased and being shown this so that it's like you just feel worse about your current life. That's not what God's about. You're being shown what your life could look like, could be like, if you decided to believe that that is what is already existing for you, regardless of what your current circumstances look like. That's the thing I want you to get. Your current circumstances are not your full reality, your permanent reality. So you see, a person's empowered reality has everything to do with whatever is in their lives or whatever is no longer in their lives that supports them in feeling resourceful, grateful, joyful, service driven, whatever it is that you want to feel, right? And let's not forget the feeling of freedom that comes to us automatically when we're living out our dream life. You hear stories about this all of the time, how people change their lives in a relatively short amount of time, even in the moment, because they chose to let go of what didn't serve them, the beliefs, the thinking, the perspective, the attitudes, and they decided with everything inside of them that what they wanted was already theirs. And they just held on to that vision every single day. They felt it, they imagined it, they saw it, they felt who they were within that ideal condition. So, how does a person actually step into their new empowered reality? So, if you were to take a moment and think about this for yourself, what comes to mind? So, of course, I came up with a few steps. So I am going to give you this 5-step approach to anchor into your new empowered reality. And of course, the first one, actually, I just added a 6th one. So the first one is to write it down. Get it out of your head and write it down specifically on a piece of paper. And that's what I said. Or do a vision map, right? Vision board. That's another great way. Okay. If you're not great with the words, do a vision board and get it out of your head, because there's something so powerful of getting this stuff out of your head and either on a piece of paper, on a picture board, that it's like, it's comforting. It makes it real. Next step is to really envision it, to see it, every single detail of it, and see yourself in it. The next is to believe it with every fiber and cell of your being, that what you want is yours all the time, every day and every minute. So that means, I think it was Ariel Ford who coined this phrase, feelingization. So after you have either written it down or done a vision board, and you're envisioning, you're really, really seeing all of the details in your daily experiences in this ideal life, whether it's on the beach or in your mansion or helping other people, I want you to feel it all. I want you to anchor into the joy and the freedom and the prosperity and abundance that future part of your life gives you. And I want you to do it repeatedly, multiple times a day. Just feel it. The next is and this is one of the things that's going to help you, that if you do it, it's really going to break through a barrier for you. You got to deal with the limiting beliefs that tell you that you're not worthy of this dream, that you can't have it, that you don't deserve it, or you aren't good enough to get it. We get these awful messages from our growing up, whether it's our parents or our partners or whatever. When we talk about our wildest dreams, most people, A, won't get it, and B, there are a lot of people that are going to shit all over it because you're touching a nerve in them because they want to dream big and you're poking their limitations. So we have all of this conditioning, and then we have beliefs around that. Like we believe those beliefs are true simply because we think them. And I've talked before about how that's not truth. Just because you think a thought over and over and over again doesn't make it true. In fact, really, the only thoughts that are true are the good ones that you think about yourself. Anything less than the good ones, they're lies, because they're just habitual thinking. So when you're able to write down these limiting beliefs, like some of the ones I said, that you're not worthy, you can't have it, you don't deserve it, you aren't good enough, you're not qualified enough, there's no way, if I'm working this $7 an hour job, how the fuck am I going to get a mansion or be in a position, right? That's not for you to worry about the how. The only job you have is to get rid of anything that's in the way, the blocks, the beliefs that you have that prevent you from being in that dream state and making it reality. Okay? Next step, you got to act as if what you want is already here. And that's where the really believing it and feeling it comes in. So if you were to act, like I think about this all the time. In fact, I have a note on my computer that whenever I feel a little lost or whenever I feel maybe doubtful, because I do, and I have to work through my limiting beliefs every day, because every time I get closer to a new level of who I am, I start to get a little scared and I start to feel doubtful. And those beliefs, those old ones that I had to work through in the lower levels of my living, they come up again, because anytime you try to up level or you're headed to that precipice, the ego is going to come up and go, I don't know. I don't know about that. So I have this, and maybe you want to do this too. I have these two little sticky notes. One is on each side of my computer screen. One says, what would my future self do? Right? So if I'm in a moment where I'm like stuck and I'm in my thinking head, right? And I'm in Janis, I look at that note and I go, what would she do? Because she, that future self version of me, is living the life that I see, but that's not my current reality. So I consult her and I go, what would you do? And 99% of the time she goes, Janis, it's already going to happen. So just lean into that, right? So maybe your future self tells you other stuff that's encouraging, or shows you images or visions, or allows you to feel the truth of what the parallel realities that already exist. That's why they call them parallel realities, because time is not linear. It's all existing at the same time. So your past, present, future is all happening at the same time. You're always in the now. And then the other note that I have on my computer is just one word. And it's the word that I have given myself for the year. And it just says trust. And when I look at that word, it's so relieving, because it reminds me of when I feel doubtful. I'm getting into my head and I'm thinking as a human being. I'm not thinking as a spiritual being, because my soul knows that I am supported in all ways. My soul knows that, and I have experienced that over and over and over again. And I laugh at this point, because there are times where I'll again hit that point where I feel like I'm leveling up, or I'm feeling doubtful, or this hasn't worked out just yet. And I look at that word and I go, yeah, let it go. Let it go, Janis, right? So I encourage you, if you want to use those things, please do whatever inspires you to get anchored back in to the truth of what your soul knows and the truth of the universe. You are always supported. Always. Okay? So while some of this may sound airy-fairy, you might be saying out loud, I've done all this, but nothing has happened. So if you're saying that, right? Either you've done it, but not believed that it's already done. So you've like done part of it, but haven't finished the process. Or you haven't done it, or you've done it, but your limiting beliefs have tainted your energy. So you've not been able to manifest what you've wanted, because you've not dealt directly and completely with eliminating the limiting beliefs. Or you fail to take the divinely inspired action to bring it about. There's some step in this that you've not done. And it's not about doing it right. It's just that you haven't done it. And so I hear all the time, and I've experienced this too, Janis, it's hard for me to trust, or it's hard for me to really anchor in. I don't know what that means. And so again, I invite you, sit with yourself, close your eyes, imagine that amazing boat. Imagine the house on the beach. This is what I do, because I dream of having a house on the beach that's all windows, overlooking the beach. That's my dream home. That is just my dream home. And driving a new, fully loaded luxury BMW 4 Series M4. Okay, dream car. And I sit in that and I smell the new leather and I touch the thick steering wheel and I hear the rumble and the roar of the engine, and I turn on the sound of the stereo because I fucking love music, and I'm like, that's my heaven and that's my therapy, and I turn it up and I take the top down of the car and I feel the wind in my hair, and it's like, this is a dream, right? And I do that and I sink deep into it. So only you know what part of this process you're not doing or not doing fully enough. Remember, it's not about being good or bad or right or wrong. You're just not doing it fully enough, consistently enough. And if you're truly honest with yourself, you really know where the gaps are. So I invite you to look at that. And remember, your current conditions are not your permanent reality. So please remember that. People change their lives all the time. I've talked about this movie repeatedly over the years. And it's called, Will Smith was in it. Something about happiness. I'm blanking on it. But it's a movie that epitomizes the concept of what I'm talking about. So I just want you to soak all that up for a minute. And however your current reality is, right? Whatever your current reality is evidence of it's simply just what's not working for you if you aren't living the life you desire in some part of your life. That's all it is. You're not here to be punished. Life gives you evidence all the time, right? It's just evidence of what needs to be changed, what part of your life needs to change, where you need to do differently. And if you're afraid of trying something new, moving out of your comfort zone, or putting yourself out there in service, well, nothing's going to change. I have learned that. That was a deep lesson I've learned. And I have since changed that. And I've decided to just speak more transparently, show up more, be seen more. And every single time I do that, it feels so good. It feels so good because I know that the divine is guiding me. And I know whatever I'm saying hits people in a good way. And it's supposed to be what I'm doing, to really step fully into the truth of who I am. So find a vision for your life. Sit down, write it out, do a vision board, something that you can really believe in. And I'm not asking you to settle your standards. I'm saying go for the big, big, big fucking dream, right? A really amazing vision. And then follow the steps I've outlined. And remember, what's meant for you, it really will never pass you by, right? It may take you time to get back on track. It may take you time to get inside. It may take you time to take action. Okay. And it may take a moment that you decide, hell yeah, I'm open, universe. Guide me, right? Because the truth is, the universe is always on your side and it wants what you want. It's you who must do the work in human form to create the conditions around which your dreams can come about. When you do that, when you declare, when you believe, when you follow divine guidance, you're giving a signal to the universe, partner with me. And just like you would when you put your order into Amazon, you click the purchase now button and you forget about it. That's what you're doing to the universe, with the universe. You give your order in, the universe goes, okay, I'm going to deliver what you vibrationally align with. And if you believe your dream without a shadow of a doubt, in every fiber and cell of your being, I promise you, it's already there and it will show up in divine time. I hope today was helpful. I love talking about this because I feel like more and more I am living this. And I know for a fact what I'm telling you is the truth. So I invite you to ingest this. I invite you to do this. And I'm just sending you a lot of love because I believe in you. And I know that whatever visions you have, no matter how bad your circumstances are, hold on to them, believe them, get in this state of feeling it all as if it's true. Give the universe the direction, align with the frequency of it, kick those limiting beliefs to the curb, get to know them, and then eliminate them. And watch what happens in your life. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend, and be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.